Friend Crank called me at my job, so I had him served with a fake paternity suit at his. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some of the recent r/ProRevenge stories posted on Reddit. Friend Crank called me at my job, so I had him served with a fake paternity suit at his. 10 years ago a friend of mine Crank called me several times in my office over the course of a day. I decided in that moment that this would not stand, and two, rather than entering into a long, protracted quagmire of a prank war, I would use the nuclear option and end it immediately. My friend Mike was a well-known local bartender. I worked at the same bar as a bouncer, and he was very much enjoying single life at the time, facts which I knew I could take advantage of. Soon a plan began to form. I would have him served with a fake paternity suit while he was working at the bar. So, I compiled a ton of free online legal documents, not just for the paternity suit but also income disclosure forms, statements of parental rights, and suggested visitation schedules pending demonstrable proof of sobriety. I filled out all the forms, then smeared what looked like date received stamps as proof they had been filed and ran copies to make those stamps even more illegible. From there, I crafted a backstory to be included in a cover letter from the fictional mother's fake law firm, the nearby city, Family Law Center, on letterhead and all. The mother was an Irish exchange student visiting the area the previous summer. She had only been with Mike, so she knew the baby, Eliza, was his. The cover letter encouraged Mike to call during regular office hours to discuss arranging a DNA test to affirm paternity. I set up a generic voicemail for the number listed as the office on the letterhead. By the end, the paperwork was somewhere between 20 to 25 pages. I enlisted another friend not known by Mike to serve the documents and instructed him to do so around 10 p.m. on a Saturday evening. I told him to keep the interaction very simple. I wasn't able to be by the back bar because I knew I would be laughing too hard, but based on eyewitness reports it played out like this. Friend, are you Mike, last name? Mike, yes friend, Michael, middle name, last name? Mike, yes friend, drops folder on bar. Mike, what's that? Friend, paternity suit. You've been served. Turns around and immediately walks out of the bar. Mike, yeah, that sounds about right. Mike read through the packet, shakily poured himself several drinks, and then ran over to the bar owner, who was aware of the prank, to ask what to do. He also called the number on the letterhead but sadly did not leave a voicemail. After a solid 10 minutes of intense psychological revenge, the owner finally told Mike he should closely read the last page of the packet. On it, in size 2 font it read, "Go fuck yourself, Mike." At which point, Mike ran to the front door and punched me in the chest. Several months later, Mike was on a trip across the country. He had left his car at home with his mom, who generously had it washed for him. Mike for some reason kept the paternity suit paperwork in his driver's side door. During the course of the car wash, his mother found it and read the entire thing, then called him sobbing in the middle of the night asking why he hadn't told her about her bastard Irish granddaughter. This is how I stopped the gossip for good. My mom had a fairly consistent habit of gossiping, and sharing quite personal information around. We knew she was doing it, but she would adamantly deny having ever done such a thing. I wish I could remember what she did that finally made me snap. It can't even have been that important. It was just the millionth time, and for once I wanted her to admit what she'd done and know that we knew too. So we set up the sting. My friend Jane and I approached my mom and told her that Jane was pregnant. She wasn't ready to tell her mom yet and she was really worried what people would think about her having a baby so young. She didn't want anyone to know yet, so it had to be top secret. Having set the trap, I figured within a few weeks or so I would have some evidence we could use, but I was so wrong. The very next day my sister, grandma and neighbor all asked me how my young pregnant friend was doing. When I was asked by a lady who worked at the supermarket, that same day, I figured this had gone far enough and went home to confront my mom, only to have my dad ask how Jane was doing. I confronted my mom, right there in front of my dad, which is when she started with the usual "I would never do that, they must have heard from someone else" routine. I explained very shortly and clearly that we had fed her a lie to see how far it spread, and the reaction was glorious. My mom's mouth fell open and she just had nothing to say at all. My dad on the other hand fell back on the sofa roaring with laughter, bemoaning the fact he hadn't thought of this years ago. It was a moment I will treasure forever, and the point was thoroughly made. Now that my mom was aware of what had happened, I was able to satisfy all further inquiries towards my friend's health with the true story, and my mom's audience for any further gossip was somewhat reduced. Bully me, I'll ruin your chances at your dream high school. So this all started in my 8th grade year. My school was a good one with many of its students going to extremely good high schools. These girls were in my friend group with about 3 other boys. I will call the girls, Angela, Ella, and Emma. Angela's mom was a very high rank on the school board. And I will call the boys my Todd, Adam, and Jackson. Just to make the story clearer. Angela, Ella, and Emma weren't that smart, so they cheated from me and my friends during the test. When they got caught, they blamed it on my friends and me. Guess what? My friends and I got in trouble and got over 20 detentions. The girls used Angela's mom's rank against me and my friends to let them cheat off of us on test. Me and my friends knew that girl's mom couldn't do shit, however, we let them cheat off us because their parent were assholes and we knew that patience would get us the best revenge. At this point, we had kicked Angela, Ella, and Emma out of our friend group, but they still cheated off of us. They then proceeded to bully us and spread rumors about us. They basically ruined our last year of middle school. Our school chain has elementary schools that filter into the middle school, so it was probably my last year with a lot of my friends that I had known for many years. We took screenshots of what they said about us on social media. We also recorded what they said about us and to us. Most of it was racist and derogatory. We bided our time, collecting every mean thing that they had said to us until the end of the year. Since all of the girls' parents and siblings had gone to a really good school, all the girls really had to do was pass with low B or a high C and they would get into a good school. Let's call it School A, and they all got into School A. My friends got together on the last day of school and put together all of the evidence that we had gathered and emailed the administration people at School A. In the email, we had explained the situation and also had proof of the girls cheating on test and all school work. We sent the email and waited. About 2 days later, I get an email back from School A saying that they have reviewed the email and reviewed all of the evidence and they have decided to rescind Angela, Ella, and Emma's acceptance into School A. The cherry on top. Well, actually there's 2. School A forwarded the email to all other schools in our area so the girls couldn't get into any of the schools in our area. The second cherry on top is that we used my real email address to send it so the girls knew that it was me and my friends who had sent the email. Angela's parents called my parents over the phone furious. My mom let me answer the phone and act like I had no idea about what she was talking about. I love my mom. Last I heard, they were all attending an online school. Sending trucks to the wrong state to screw over a staff sergeant. So back when I was in my first unit we had to ship all of our 7 tons off to get up armored. That meant that over a year or so we shipped them all from South Carolina to Wisconsin. I was in charge of logistics at the time, so I coordinated it all and loaded the trucks. Overall, a pretty easy task. The only challenge was the documentation. Anyways, it was all going well until this new staff sergeant showed up in the motor pool. He was an asshole. Just treated everyone like shit. He made my life miserable when I tried to ship these trucks. Like I didn't want to, it wasn't overly fun. Sometimes it even required me to work on weekends, so I would have been happy just not doing it. However, I had to, HQMC ordered it, so there was no reason for him to be pissy with me. Anyways, so once he took over, shipping these trucks became a pain in the ass because he would want to micromanage because I was a lower rank. So I let him and he wanted to sign shit. So I made up lines for him to sign. So finally I had it with him. One day I decided since he wanted to sign and be important I would fuck him up. So when my next big shipment, like 4 trucks, came along, I decided that instead of sending them to Wisconsin like they were supposed to go, I would send them somewhere else. I decided 29 Palms, California would be a great location. So I changed some codes on the sheets, gave them to the prick staff sergeant who made more dick comments and signed blindly. So off we shipped these trucks. Well, a couple weeks later the call comes in that our trucks never arrived. So the command starts getting worried that a few trucks had gone missing. They come to our shop and we just informed them that this staff sergeant had taken charge of all the shipments lately. So they go to him and he proudly said he had taken over, but crumbled when they asked him where the trucks were. It took them a couple of weeks, but finally a call from 29 Palms came into our command that they had these trucks show up but nobody had claimed them. The command flipped their shit. As far as they were concerned, this stupid fucking staff sergeant got involved in shit he didn't need to get involved in and sent 4 big ass trucks across the country instead of where they needed to be. He got told to leave the logistics to the logistics department and I had the whole thing solved in an hour. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.